preview of Design Tools 12.0 by Moldplus SA. Design Tools 12.0 is the latest version that replaces the former version called Moldplus version 11.5. The product has been renamed to Design Tools to remove the assumption that Moldplus software tools were only meant for mold makers and other focused markets. The tools that are offered here cater to any and every Mastercam user that wishes to prepare their parts for manufacturing quickly. Upon installation of Design Tools in Mastercam 2022, a new ribbon bar is created with the name MP Design Tools. The MP prefix simply stands for Moldplus, and this is mainly to guide and assist our existing users to transition to the new name. The interfaces have been completely revamped for all old or existing features that were based on the menu system. The features are also grouped in an optimal manner so that end users can quickly access the features they wish to use in an easy manner. The interfaces have also been redone to be consistent in terms of look, feel, and ease of use. We will do a quick preview of some of the different features that have newer interfaces. Looking at the Edges and Views group, we can very quickly go through the different features. 3D Edges allows you to create the outer or inner open edges of the part. You can choose a level and color to save the 3D edges too. You will see that the output feature is consistent for all geometries that are created by Design Tools, where you can either store the geometry on the main level or simply select a new level to save to. 2D Edges will give you the 2D open edges that are projected on a particular plane. Cross sections will allow you to create cross-sectional curves along the part by first visualizing a preview and then being able to create the cross-section curves based on the preview and the selected reference plane. If I click on multiple, I can create multiple cross-sectional curves. And finally, for clients who wish to create 2D layout views of surface or wireframe models, this tool allows just for that. You can choose the different views you would like to create, and upon clicking on Do Refresh, the 2D layout is immediately created, and from here you can either create drafting or anything else you desire. The Draft Angle Analysis interface has been updated to offer all the features to be available for use from within a single dialog. Setting the options for analyzing the part and trimming the undercut faces and assigning them to different levels with different colors can all be accomplished from this interface. In addition, you can also create the parting line that follows the split line of the mold using a different color and level. Upon clicking on Do Refresh, you will notice that the surfaces that belong to the upper side are marked in green and all the undercuts are marked in red color. And when you zoom in, you will notice that the blue curves are the parting lines. Mold separation interface, or the core and cavity separation interface, has also been updated in order to facilitate the easy separation of core and cavity faces. Upon launching the interface, the core and cavity faces are automatically split, and the core faces are moved to a different height so that you can visualize them, and any vertical faces are presented in between those core and cavities so that you can simply click on them and move them either to the core side or to the cavity side. And upon accepting the result, the core and cavity faces are automatically closed and the faces moved to the appropriate levels. The electrode maker interface remains the same. There are some enhancements that have been made to this version. And one of the features that we did add in the previous version, but is being highlighted now, is the ability to create Boolean operations on solid faces in order to quickly extract electrodes. Upon selecting the faces, we can choose the construction mode by Boolean and then create the new raw stock, change the parameters quickly to adapt it to the new preferred settings, recalculate the stock size, and we can create the new electrode. We can add a holder if we wish, but if you remove the part, very quickly you see that a Boolean operation was performed on the electrode. The extensions and trimming group are a very interesting set of features for any and all Mastercam users desiring to do surface extensions on their part models for preparing them for manufacturing. Clicking on surface extensions, the interface has been changed from the previous version, and as you can see, most of the features have descriptive tooltips with images and explanations where necessary. So if we start with the planar extension, again, you can set the extension direction by clicking on the plane, and you also see a visual arrow reference to indicate which plane direction you're going in. And you also have the end conditions, which can be to a specific length, to a point, which is a new feature now, and this can be the edge of another surface or another reference point on the graphics area to extend to, and you also have construction depth. The first option we will look at is the planar extension, and if you look at it, we're extending to the construction depth, and you can either create the extension as individual faces, or if you say tangential, it chains all the faces that can be chained in a tangential manner, or you can also hold, as you can see, there are hotkeys as well, and holding the X key, for example, you see that I can do a planar extension for the entire part. The next option is surface tangential, and here we can indicate it to be extended by a specified length, and you see a preview. If the chain tangent edges is activated, I can also toggle the key on and off to just do tangential extensions on individual faces if I prefer. And in this case, I've done 3 faces, and from here I can switch to the surface normal extension, and here it goes normal to the last face, and here I'm creating these 3 faces, and if I continue to extend, I also have the ability to increase or decrease the angle as I go along. So here it's going to go 90 degrees up, but if I click on the P key for the plus key, you see that the angle changes, and now I can see the preview at 50 degrees off the previous one. So very quickly I can create and continue to create surface extensions along the part. Another feature to create the extensions of the surfaces to the mold edge would be to use this particular feature, the Moldage Extension feature. When this is activated, you can change the stock side, which would be the external boundary we have here. And from here, I can indicate the side I wish to extend to. And with this color indication, it indicates that all the surface extensions will be done to this particular edge. Once again, you can pick individual faces or click on the C hotkey to change tangential faces. So in this case, very quickly, I've created those extensions. And over here, I'm going to create a single extension over here. And I'm going to extend also using that face and extending that over there. At this point, if I wish to create a corner surface over here, I could take advantage of this feature and pick the two reference edges and simply highlight the edge in between, and now I've created my corner faces. A nice enhancement we have done to the outer surface extensions to the mold edges is the following. Upon launching that particular feature, you can change the stock sides. As soon as you change the stock sides, a preview is displayed of all the surfaces that will be created, along with the UV directions of the surfaces and some yellow lines, which are basically the control lines for these surfaces. So what can you do with these surfaces and what can you do with these control lines? You can pick out any control line, and based on the setting, which is either to change the direction, split, or merge, you can grab any of those control lines and easily change the UV direction of that particular face. You can change the directions, or if you see that this is a flat surface and we do not need that many control lines, we can come in and simply merge the faces or delete particular control lines. And in certain areas or corners where we may need additional faces, we can add control lines. And as soon as we add a control line, you can switch back to tilting. And now you can tilt the faces to the newly desired direction that you wish to create the surfaces for. And once again, when you see red faces, it indicates that that will be a bad surface, but you can also manipulate and get rid of those problematic faces. And if you don't see a red surface, the result is good. So this is a very, very powerful tool to create automatic surface edge extensions and also manage and control the UV direction of the resultant faces. Another feature that we have ported over with the newer interface is the ability to create mold locks. Once you've created the part surface extensions, you can quickly create mold locks at the desired location. So in this case, if I say I want a corner location, as soon as the surfaces are created, just highlighting and going to those particular edges will immediately create the new mold locks. In this case, I'm creating 4 corner locks. And once I've created these locks, I can also create side locks if I do desire them. And the orientation can be positive or negative. And once again, you see the side locks, they can be placed anywhere dynamically, and the direction, as you can see, is the top direction over here. And typically you want to have a unique direction for the mold lock creation. So very quickly, I can create mold locks as well on the part. The complex hole filling tool or the surface junction feature also continues to have better and easier to use interfaces. So if we look at these holes, if we need to patch this particular hole, As soon as this is highlighted with the purple outline, if I hold my Shift key down, I can get a preview of the entire fill. And now, using any hotkey, I can cycle through the different extensions, which could be straight tangent, or curved tangent. So depending on the desired fill, I can choose the result I wish, click on the edge, and it's created. And the same for filling other complex holes. Again, I have a lot of neat little tricks and tools available in this feature. So between these two edge points or edge limits, holding the Shift key down, I can create a patch surface there, patch that, and same here. In a few clicks, I have filled all these holes using the Surface Junction tool. We will use this again in some other examples shortly. The Surface Trim Editor tool continues to evolve with newer features and ease of use at a rapid pace. If we wish to fill the area or the open gap between this edge and this edge, it is very easy using this tool, which is the Simplify tool under Surface Trim Editor. You see the hard edge points here, or the edge limits, and in order to fill this entire area in 2 clicks, all we need to do is highlight the first point that we wish to fill, and then pick on the second point, and that entire face is untrimmed. To fill this area again, holding the Shift key down, you notice a preview of the desired result, and this edge will be removed, and the new green line which is displayed will be the untrimmed edge. So very quickly, I can do cornering also for the faces and fill these or untrim these surfaces. Coming down to this edge, again, this is a complex one, and once again, I have control points or edge limit points that I can simply choose, which are highlighted as I go along the face, and then those are untrimmed. Continuing on, you can also get rid of problematic areas. For example, on this particular face, we see that this whole area is badly trimmed. Again, holding the Shift key down, we can untrim that area. And if we come and look at this surface here, again, we have a badly trimmed surface. Pick the surface, pick the point to start from and where you want to end at, and you untrim that face also very quickly. You also have the ability to move a point, and you can also move it to the reference of another edge. To fill this complex hole that is left, which consists of 4 different faces, we can jump to the Surface Junction tool, which is also integrated as a call from within this menu. And if we set the edge limits as follows, you see that you have 4 different edge limits here, and very quickly I can create some fill surfaces here. So holding the Shift key down, I can create a connection surface there, Shift key down, fill this, Shift key, fill this, and in a few clicks, that complex area is filled in with a new surface. And for these interior holes, what can we do? Simply pick on the face, go close to the edge, and say remove holes, and those holes are gone. So very quickly, we've taken a complex model that had a lot of problematic faces, untrimmed them and patched them, and now we have a nice resultant face. Another nice and new feature that has been added to this version is the following. Let's say you want to trim the surface from this point to that edge or any edge. To accomplish this, instead of having to create wireframes and reference edges, we can click on the new cut loop feature, select the surface, and you see that you can pick a point which also snaps to the reference of another surface edge. Click on the first point, and as I move the cursor dynamically along the surface edge, I can click anywhere I want as my new trim location. And as soon as I click on the second point, my surfaces are trimmed as follows. So a very nice and powerful trimming feature. Once again, pick the surface, pick the first edge, which is indicated by the first point, and pick the reference edge dynamically, and now the surface is trimmed into two different sections. Another feature that is part of the surface trim editor is the ability to remove external slots. If we load this particular face, click on it, you will notice that it will identify all the possible slots, and if it doesn't, you can use the gap search to identify most of them. And to see the results, the red lines indicate that they will be removed, and the green line indicates that that will basically be the untrimming area. So if you see that all of them are selected, clicking on apply removes all those slots. And again, as we saw before, if we right click and say remove holes, in a few clicks we have basically filled, or we've untrimmed all the faces. Other features that have been ported over are the edge offset creation feature, which allows for creating tangential edge offsets along selected faces. So clicking on a face, you can highlight the edges, and as you go along, clicking on the second edge will create the resultant edge offset face. If you don't wish a partial one, you can pick the face, and then holding the X key down, you can create extensions on the entire face. And you have other controls and features as well to manage this. In addition to this, you also have the ability to pick on a face and extend the base surface. So in this case, you will notice that if you need to untrim the section, it's not going to be possible to remove the fillet here or the fillet over here, because we're already at the base surface limits. So with the extend base feature, you can set a value. You can see a preview of the new base surface extension. Clicking on apply will extend the surface, and if I click on apply again, we'll do it again. So from here, what can we do? If we need to get rid of all of these for the stamping dies, we can display the base surface if we so desire, and simply clicking on the different points, so we can untrim and get rid of the areas that we wish to either straighten or remove the fillets on. So as you can see, this is a very powerful feature to extend the base, and in addition to be able to trim them to the new desired boundaries. The zone trim tool to trim surfaces by using a reference boundary has also been updated and improved. Clicking on chain and split, select the boundary, indicate the selection zone, and the surfaces are trimmed to that boundary. If you wish to delete the section, you can undo, click on delete result, and perform the same operation again, and the area within the chained boundary will be deleted. The main Create Curve 5-axis dialog has not changed much, but all the features such as auto path, edge path, curve path, Warf Pads, etc., all the dialogs have been updated to have a consistent look and feel. The new feature that has been added is in the curve paths, and upon chaining the curve and accepting it, you have a new checkbox option that allows you to set the vector direction based on a fixed plane. Unchecking it will create them normal to the faces, but checking it will respect the plane direction. Once we create them, picking on a set of vectors, the vector tilt dialog has also been updated and improved to be much easier to work with and use. If you wish to scroll through and change the values, you can simply place the cursor within the side or lead lag fields and rotate or tilt the vectors. So this is rather easier and much simpler to use. In addition to that, you can also set all the vectors relative to the view you're looking at, or instead of to a view, you can pick a direction to a plane, or the from point and to points also can be used from within here. Warf Pads can also be created on parts that have wall angles that vary along the edges. Using either the closest distance option, you can pick the lower rail, pick the upper rail, and if you have project on upper rail activated, the curves are created on the upper edge. If this is unchecked, if you click on the upper rail, then the curves and vectors are created from the bottom rail. Once you create them and you create a toolpath, a standard Mastercam curve 5-axis toolpath is created along with the wall angles that are respected by the vectors that are created. Smart Surface Normals allows you to reliably set surface normals on parts that have single or multiple bodies. By using one of the two different orientation modes, clicking on Do Refresh, where these are all the reversed faces, will set all the normals to the same direction. The radius analysis tool has also been updated with a new interface. It is much easier to use. You can use the dynamic to analyze the radiuses that fall within a range or set a specific value and also identify them, or better, use the multi-option. And if you wish to specifically identify surfaces that fall within a radius range, you can set those ranges, and once they're analyzed, the surfaces are trimmed and colored as shown. And if you want the results to be copied to different levels, you can do so by checking this box, and by incrementing the levels, these will be stored on different levels. In addition, you can click on any face and dynamically see the radius value of that particular face. Once I click on OK, you will see the resultant surfaces saved to these particular levels. So you have the radiuses for the range between 0 and 2 and the range between 2 and 5 stored on these levels. The Auto Trim Fit feature has also been updated with a newer interface and dialog, and it also provides additional information on top of having undo and redo features. So if you zoom into this area and you see these trim surfaces that are not aligned properly, clicking on Do Refresh will do the following. Will realign them closer, and also a graph is displayed over here with a color scale to indicate which faces were moved further and which ones were less. Green means they were not moved much, and as we have seen over here, the red means these faces were moved closer. The Part Surface Extension tool has also been updated with the ability to set the plane direction for the extensions and been improved upon. So if you pick all the faces that you wish to create the part extensions on and click on Do Refresh, you can see a preview of the potential result. And if this is satisfactory, you can go ahead and create the resultant surface extensions. The STL utilities or tools offered by Design Tools has always offered some neat features. Upon loading an STL file, either the Mastercam mesh or a direct STL file, if there are two components, for example, in the same STL file, one nice feature that is available to the end user is the ability to disconnect them and create two separate meshes. And as you can see, now you have two separate bodies, and they can easily be, say, exported as individual meshes or STL files. And you've always had the option to trim all the STL bodies using a grid. Creating a plate fixture support structure can be done using this tool, the Plate Fixture Creator. You can either use a set of preset grid lines, or you can use a grid editor and set the values that you wish, and accordingly you can also set the plane, and once you have it, you apply. Once you create them, you can dynamically move any of the plate locations, as you can see, by just clicking on the grid lines and moving them. And once you're satisfied, clicking on OK will immediately display a preview of the plates. Now you can change and work with all the different settings and options. You can also add a base plate, and you're also creating scallops to be able to load and unload large parts onto the plate fixture structure. And in addition to that, you can also control the value of the cutouts. So changing the value here for the whole width and the whole height. Just entering the values gives you all a dynamic preview. Once you're satisfied with the results, you can go to the Output tab and create them as either surfaces or solids. So if I say create it as solids and create geometry, the plates are created as solids, and you will also have a nesting created of the 2D plates in a wireframe manner, so that you can cut that with water jet or any other manufacturing methodology that you desire. And once they're created, you can then look at the assembly, remove the plates if you so desire, and then there's your basic plate structure. So if clients are doing this, this is a very, very powerful tool to help them create cheap support structures to be able to quickly do finishing operations for their parts. And the final option, which is the Design Tools Help. This will launch the online help tool, which is basically context sensitive, and depending on the features and functions you're on, you can learn more about using certain features. And you have access to the What's New document. And you have also access to the other quick start guides, which one of them, which is the general quick start guide, which covers a lot of the features within Design Tools. And you have the 5-axis toolkit quick start guide, which covers all the features to a good extent. This concludes a preview of the Design Tools 12.0. Thank you for taking the time to review it.